Hi, I'm Christy and this is Lazy Owl's Booktube channel to review books and comics. Today I'm going to let you know what I've been reading in the last week or so, and also to share with you some graphic novels and comics that I've got waiting for me, hopefully to read in the next week or so as well. So the first comic that I'm going to share with you that I've just read is actually a reread, and it's Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. So Marjorie is the writer and Sana is the artist. This is a graphic novel that I picked up, I reckon, probably a couple of years ago, and I remember really enjoying it at the time. It's one that I've borrowed from my library, and I fully intended to pick up the later volumes, but for whatever reason I didn't get around to picking them up. So I've recently seen a couple of friends on some social channels that have picked these up and been reading the later ones, and so I thought I would do a reread and get back into this series. So this is volume 1. The artwork in this is really great, and there's some really great depth to the story in this. There's this main character here, and she is struggling with something inside of her that she has this fear that is going to take over, and it's quite dark, the storyline. There's these two factions that are warring against each other, and she has a lot of anger and resentment happening. She also is dealing with what seems to be she's trying to follow her past and to find out what's happened to her in her earlier childhood. There seems like there could be a little bit of loss of memory there, that she's not sure what's happened to her. She's trying to follow what's happened to her family, and yeah, it's pretty dark. The artwork is just fantastic. I would have to say it's probably one of my favourite graphic novels in terms of artwork, and I have the later graphic novels, the later volumes for this one with me at the moment, so I'm really looking forward to getting into those. It can be a little bit violent, and there are some strong themes there in terms of vengeance and you know, the monster inside of us, so to speak. And this is one that, yeah, it really has a lot of depth to it. If you're looking for something with really good artwork, something really to sink your teeth into that has a lot of depth to it, definitely this one is one to give a go. I'd love to hear if other people are reading this and whether they've read the later volumes. It's obviously quite popular because it's still going, so this one I'm really enjoying and want to keep going with. The next graphic novel that I've read this week is Gwenpool. This is the second volume. So Gwenpool is really fun. This is a Marvel comic. If you're not familiar with Gwenpool, she's kind of like similar to Deadpool. There's a similar humour there. She tries to be badass, but she's not really. She's just so funny though, and I've only really just started getting into these comics, but already she's a favourite of mine and I want to keep going with these. I wish that I'd gotten in early with these and had the single issues of these, because I really just love the character of Gwenpool. I love her humour, and I would have to say probably these ones make me laugh the most out of any of the comics that I've been reading. So this one's really fun. I've got the later ones, so I will definitely be continuing with these ones. These ones are also borrowed from my library as well. Libraries are great. And if you're reading these and you know of any similar fun comics like Gwenpool, I'd love to hear, because I love reading ones like this. So some of the single issue comics that I've read in the last week or so, I'm going to share with you now. So I'm continuing on with Family Tree. So Family Tree is written by Jeff Lemire, Phil Hester, Eric Gapster, Ryan Cody. So there's quite a few that are involved in the creation of this comic. So Jeff Lemire has a good following, and I think a lot of people have got on board that like his work. This one is continuing quite well. It's a bit of a slow burn comic, I think. The story is progressing quite slowly, and I am quite enjoying this. The artwork's probably not one of my favourite ones out of some of the ones that I do have, but it is effective, and it is quite an interesting premise with this girl who has these tree parts starting to grow out of her, and they're trying to figure out what's happening to her, and that's how the story's building kind of each issue. And it kind of brings into play society and how society treat something that they don't understand, how they let fear drive them rather than trying to help and figure out what's going on with these people. So this is issue 4, and this is one that I'm continuing on with. Red Mother is another issue that I've just read. This is issue 3. So Red Mother is by Jeremy Horn and Danny Luckert, and I absolutely love the artwork of Red Mother. It is so effective. This is a bit of a slow burn as well, although not as much as Family Tree, and every time I read Red Mother, I get to the end and I'm disappointed that there isn't any more story in the issue. I'm always really looking forward to reading the next issue of this one. There's never enough of them, and I just keep wanting to know what's going on. Like, she sees these apparitions and she has these issues with her sight, and in this one she has this item get dropped on her door, and she's got to figure out who's left it and what it means. And I would have to say this is one of my favourite ones at the moment that I'm really enjoying above probably any of the others. So I'd love to hear if anyone else is reading these and enjoying them as well. A super popular one at the moment is The Plot, and this is number 4 issue. I had to wait a while to get my hands on these because I missed out on issue 1, but they all came in and I've read pretty much issues 1 to 4 all in the same go. This is really interesting. It's about a family, a big old family home and a family plot, and there's some mystery around it. So there's secrets hidden in this family's life. There's a death that occurs, and there's a man who's pretty philanthropic. He tries to do good. That's that the family's whole philosophy is do good, but there's some sinister reason that is their philosophy. It's not as innocent as it seems, and the artwork in this is really good. Issue 1 actually starts off with a black and white issue, and sometimes that would detract me from wanting to read an issue, because I really do quite often get drawn to a comic because of the artwork. But I'm so glad that I picked this up because it is so worth it. the artwork in even issue 1 and the later issues is really good, and this is another one that I'm looking forward to always reading the next issue. I would have to say I still think Red Mother would be my favourite at the moment, but the plot is a very close second. Oh, and I didn't mention it earlier, but the plot is by the makers of the plot are by Tim Daniel and Michael Morici. They're the writers, and Joshua Hickson is the artist, and they just do an awesome job. The next comic that I've been reading is The Marked, and this is one that I'm really enjoying the storyline of. I think the storyline has really great potential and it's starting to get really interesting. So this is issue 3, and I think I've actually picked up the wrong issue because I think I've got a later one than this, but the storyline of this is really picking up now. The only thing that I would find I'm a little bit disappointed about is maybe the artwork. It almost seems like it's aimed at a bit of a younger audience. It's maybe, I'm not sure what style you would call it. I wish the artwork was more amazing, because the whole premise of The Marked, so basically there's these people and they get marked, and the marks give them powers, they give them gifts, and there was so much potential for this comic to have some really, really great artwork, and I just feel like that it falls a little bit short. I don't know if you can see very well there, but you can see kind of the style of artwork in this. I just feel like they could have done so much better with this storyline in terms of the artwork, but nonetheless it is still one that I'm quite enjoying. So The Marked is by David Hine, Brian Haberlin and Gerard Van Dyke. So the storyline of this one is quite good. Another one that I've picked up this week is The After Realm. This is a longer issue comic, one that I quite enjoyed. So it has a bit of a fantasy genre to it. So there's this main character, and it has Lockie in it. It has this girl kind of has this friend that she's with in the start of the comic, and they kind of lose touch with each other, and throughout the whole comic she's trying to get back to her friend. She's a little bit selfish. She wants life to be exciting and fun, and she doesn't really think about the consequences of her actions. And this was a fun little comic. I think I would probably continue it. The artwork is fun. The storyline's a bit of fun. It's nothing too deep. It's probably not one of the super exciting ones, but it was a fun little comic to kind of read and go between some of the serious ones, just something a bit more light-hearted with this one. So I quite enjoyed this one. So this one is by Michael Avon Deming and Taki Soma. So that's a new one that's currently out. It's only just come out. Tartarus is another Image comic, and this is another long issue that's just come out. I quite liked the colouring on this particular comic. So this is by Johnny Christmas and Jack T. Cole. This is a bit sci-fi, so it's set in this world where there's this prison in space, and it starts off with an escape basically. I thought the dialogue in this was a little bit lacking. It just didn't grab me. It just didn't grab me at all. I probably won't get any more of these. I thought it sounded something really interesting. I liked the sci-fi element of it, and some of the artwork was quite interesting, but the dialogue just was lacking, and I didn't feel like there was much effort put in there. So this is probably one that I think, yeah, I'm not going to continue with. So those are the comics that I have read this week, and now I would like to go through with you the comics that I still have waiting for me to read. So some of them are some library books that I've borrowed, and some of them are some single issue comics that I'm going to be reading. So I'll go through those with you now. So Mercy is a new issue that's out. This is issue 1. So this is one that I'm hoping to pick up this week. As you can see, the artwork on this issue really grabs you. It's another Image comic. So this is one that I hope to read this week, and hopefully I'll share with you in my next video. Dryad is another comic that is brand new out this week, and the reason that I bought this comic is because it's from the creators of Rat Queens, which is one of my favorite comics. I love the humor of that, and you might notice if you have read Rat Queens that there is some similarities there. So I'm really excited about reading this one. I have high expectations, so hopefully it meets those expectations, but I'm really excited to read this one. So this is by Oni Press. I'm not sure I've read any of their comics before, but I'm sure this will be great. And so the creators of this are Curtis Weeb and Justin Osterling. So I'm super excited to get into this one, so I'll share with you in my next video how I went with this. Another Marvel comic is Strange Academy, which was described to me by a friend as Marvel's version of Harry Potter versus meets superheroes. So I'm excited to read this one. I haven't read a lot of Marvel comics, but I'm hoping to dip my hand in the pie, so to speak, and get into a few of these, because there are a few that are interesting me at the moment. So this is one that I'm going to read this week and share with you in my next video. Another one that I'll be reading this week is The Marked. So I talked about that earlier, and this is issue 5, so I'll be reading that issue this week, and I'll be sharing with you whether I think the storyline's progressed much. So now I'll share with you, I have a lot of graphic novels that I've borrowed from the library recently that have come in from being on hold, and some of these have been recommended to me through social media channels. So Litzy is an app that I use, and I get a lot of recommendations there from different people about what's awesome to read right now and what they're really enjoying. So Zodiac Star Force was one that was recommended on Litzy that I'm going to give a go. The artwork looks really fun. So this is by Dark Horse Comics, so I'm going to be giving this one a go. Descender Volume 6. I have read the earlier volumes. It has been a while since I've read Volume 5, but hopefully I can remember what's going on because I'll be reading that soon. Giant Days Volume 9. It's also been a little bit of a break since I've read the earlier volumes, but I want to get back into this. These are really fun, easygoing comics, and another one by Boombox that I will be getting into hopefully this week. I'm super excited to read another Gwenpool this week. This one is the next issue, and this one's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you later. Oblivion Song Volume 2 I'll be reading this week. So in my last comic review video I read Volume 1, so this is Volume 2 and I'll be getting into this one. I'm looking forward to this one. I really enjoyed Volume 1. So this is another Image comic. So I have the next 3 volumes of Monstrous, so hopefully I'll be reading some of these ASAP and get back into the story of Monstrous, and I'm really looking forward to enjoying the artwork with these ones. Unnatural is a comic that a friend of mine really enjoyed, so this one the artwork intrigued me for this one, and it's another one that I'm hoping to read this week. Fear Agent is the last graphic novel that I have waiting for me to read, and to be honest I can't really remember what this one's about, but it looks like it has a sci-fi maybe element to it, so this one I'm looking forward to. It looks like a bit of fun. If you've read any of those comics and you want to let me know what you thought, I'd love to hear what you're enjoying right now. I'm always open to recommendations. If you think that I've read something that's similar to what you've read and you think I might enjoy, I'd love to hear about it. I'm always looking for new comics to read, new genres in the comics that might be down my alley, so leave me a comment. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any fellow comic reviewers out there that you want to recommend me, I'd love to hear them. I'm looking for more people to subscribe to, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed.